So what we are going to do next is look at some videos that we took during the Milagro field campaign. So what we were doing here, we were flying around Mexico City trying to look at the pollution. And what you see here is actually the camera that was mounted in the airplane where we were. So we are just taking off in Veracruz in a city near Mexico. And now we are flying towards Mexico City. And now we're going to get closer to the city. And what you see here is just how polluted it is. You see there the ground. And as we go into the city, the air is really turbid. And that is due to these aerosols, to this pollution that's in the air. We were sampling the air from the outside of the airplane using this tube, which is what we call an inlet. So the idea is that the air was coming in next to the airplane like that, and we were sitting in the plane, and we were sucking it in through a window and then into our instrument where we were just sitting right there analyzing the air as it was going through. And what we are going to see next, so we were sampling some polluted air in Mexico City. We were also sampling some fires, which were agricultural fires. And what we can see here, this is in the Yucatan. What you see there are agricultural fields, and farmers are burning them at the end of the season. And then the airplane is trying to swerve and trying to fly through some of these clouds of smoke. And we are just sitting there in the airplane and looking at what's happening in real time. And here we have many of the measurements that tell us, where the airplane was, how quickly was it flying, and that kind of thing. Yeah, so this time was actually the first time we were in an airplane with some of the new instruments, and it was very successful because it was the first time that we were able to measure the composition of the pollution and the agricultural burning from the air with many instruments together at the same time. We were flying on a C-130, which is a very large aircraft. So it was packed full of instruments, and we were able to really analyze the composition and see how much is coming out and what's coming out much better than we could have done before. So it was really a landmark study for both of those things. It was extremely successful. And here we can see some of the pictures from the study. So this is the airplane where we were flying. This is, as I said, a C-130. Which is operated by the National Science Foundation and is actually based here near Boulder at the Jefferson County Airport. This is myself inside of the airplane, sitting next to the instrument. It's very noisy, so I'm wearing some ear protection. And the instruments, as we saw before, are mounted in these racks just to keep them in place and make it safe for everyone. This is now a view from the back of the airplane. So here we are in the tail section of the C-130, and we're looking forward. And what you see here is different people. So this is actually during flight. So the instrument is flying, the airplane is flying as we saw before. And this video that we were seeing before, we can see there all the time, so we can see where we are because we don't really have windows. We have used the windows for things like this to sample the air. And then each one of these racks and each one of these people is one different instrument. So as I said, there is many. This is a flying laboratory. We're measuring many things. Each one of these instruments is very complex. And then as we go around, we are recording the air composition very quickly. This is now Peter DiCarlo, which is one of the students in my group who did this work. And you see, this was what we did every other day for a month. We sat here. It was the seats like in a commercial flight. But in front of you, you have a computer and these instruments, and then you are seeing in the screen what's going on. So you see, OK, now this thing is high, now it's low, now it's clean, now it's dirty. I see something unusual, I don't. And typically, he's not wearing them now, but you see here these headsets. We will be talking to each other and discussing what different people are seeing. And you need to do it that way because it is very noisy. Unlike a commercial flight, the C-130 is not a commercial plane. It's a military plane, and is extremely noisy. Here, this is similar to the videos. What we see here is a view from the air when we are flying towards Mexico City. So you see, some haze in the region, but still you can see the ground pretty well. So this is not very polluted. This is a picture taken at the end of the day as we were coming down to land in Veracruz on the coast, which is actually a resort. So this is now the beach. This is something very interesting. This is a picture taken from our airplane of another airplane, which is scarily close. And our airplane was provided by the National Science Foundation. This is a DC-8 airplane, so it's an old passenger airplane, which is now dedicated to research and is operated by NASA. And it's very important because we are doing these measurements and they are doing similar measurements, that we make sure that the instruments agree. So then the way this is done is you fly side by side, try to keep the same speed into the same air for maybe 30 or 40 miles, and then you are both measuring the same things. And then afterwards, you can make sure that, when we think there was a certain concentration, a certain composition, and let's say this was pollution and it was not a volcano, that the other airplane agrees. So that is a very important part of these experiments.